What's going on, Beaches, and welcome to episode 1200 and 92 of the Sleeves. Thank you so much for being here. Make sure to subscribe to all the channels on YouTube at Swolenormous, and of course the Daily Swole Clips channel, as well as the Daily Swole. So we got Daily Swole Clips, we have the Daily Swole, and we have Swolenormous all on YouTube, and you're getting new content there every fucking day on all channels. So you got your hands full, fam. You got your hands full with old Papa Swolio, and I am still traveling, but this is the last day that I am here, so I will be back in the Swole hole starting whether or not it's Wednesday night. Probably will still be out because I get back late, so Thursday will be the live cast will be back as per usual. So excited to be back home, excited to be fucking warm because it's freezing balls. Right now I am on my way to see Grandpapa Swolio, and to get a little bit of a pump on, just making sure that I got all my trimmings, all the things that I need for the... There we go. Just had to reach in my bag and make sure I brought my fucking laptop because I might have internet and I can upload some stuff, which will be very, very, very exciting, of course. Welcome. Looking to get back to society. Excited for that. I'm driving right now, so if I sound a little distracted, I'm just going around a turn, and I'm going to be on a main road soon, so I can talk and focus normally. Let's see. Anything else going on? I don't know. We have the holidays are in full swing, so a lot of you are probably traveling this time of year, so be safe, be smart. And a lot of this content is going to direct towards a lot of you that are going to have to deal with family bullshit. People that are trying to feed you garbage food, bring in their fucking leftovers and shit that's not going to serve you. So let's build upon yesterday's episode, which was fucking fire. I hope you enjoyed it. And today's episode, 1292, is going to continue to slam some knowledge cock down your throat. So I hope you swallow every last drop and every last inch. It's a big one. So let's get ready for 1292.
The sun is shining, the birds are chirping, the bacon is sizzling. Welcome to the Daily Swole.
Testing. Testicles. Welcome, everyone, to episode 1292 of the Daily Mother Swole, the most muscular Swolecast, Beardcast, Broadcast, Gaincast, Mancast, Pimpcast, Sleazecast, and of course, the Slaycast in the realm. Because when I flex, you flex, we all flex our biceps. What's going on, beaches, booshes, busters, hustlers, and of course, ye ol' hoes? It's your boy Papa Swolio back with another episode of the Daily Sleaze. I am in the car right now again, just like I believe it was episode 1289, and I am heading to the next town over to get a pump on with Grandpapa Swolio, so looking forward to that, super stoked, and I hope you are enjoying your time away from me. I hope you're enjoying your Daily Swole live streamless days, which I know a lot of you are like eager for me to get back into the office. You're eager for me to get back into the flow, and I am as well, and I think that's the perfect length of a vacation. And I don't really consider this a vacation. I consider it a trip because I always, there's no days off. Like it's a breather. It's some time away from my normal routine. But in terms of like a vacation, I don't know. I guess you can consider it a vacation. You can consider it a little bit of a trip, but it's nice to downshift. It's nice to get a little bit different perspective, which is what we talked about in yesterday's podcast. So when you're hearing this, you're pretty much getting a bunch of podcasts uploaded at once because I'll finally have internet. But when it comes to training on my trips, a lot of times because I'm always training and I'm always doing work and physical work in terms of gym and yoga. A lot of times when I travel, it's such a seasonal shift. For example, now it's fucking cold. Right now it's 37 degrees and I'm used to 80, 85. So my whole body just essentially fucking shuts down and is like, I don't want to move. So I grew up in this weather. So I am no stranger to training in the snow. I'm no stranger to trudging through 2 feet of snow to get to the gym and, knocking snow off my boots and scraping snow off my windshield. So been there, done that. And that's literally like why I moved to Florida, because it's fucking sucks to live in freezing temperatures 6 months, 7 months out of the year when you don't have to. So I got the fuck out. So for any of you that are living in cold weather and complaining about it, get the fuck out. You can move. Everyone feels like they're stuck in one spot. You can move. You can change your environment. And lately I've been talking about small circles and cutting out the dead weight, cutting out bullshit in your fucking life. Change your environment. Your environment is not just, okay, the grass, or you're in the city or you're in the country. Your environment are the people around you. Your environment are the thoughts that you keep around your head. Is your consciousness. It's everything in your surroundings. So it's important to take breaks. It's important to pull back. It's important to get perspective. And that's what vacations do for a lot of people. And that's why we call those types of deloading weeks inside Swolenormous X, we call them slingshot weeks, because it's a pullback to launch forward. And that's really what a deloading week, that's really what a psychological deload is. That's what a physical deload is. It's pulling back slightly to make sure you're repairing fully so that you can continue to crush without risking the same, while mitigating the risk of injury. There's always a risk of injury. You can hurt yourself walking down a flight of stairs, stepping off a curb. You can just drop a knife on your foot. You can do all sorts of things to hurt yourself. But why hurt yourself with things that you can control? And that's what it comes down to nutrition. With nutrition, you can control what you put in your mouth. You have decisions. You're making a decision. When you eat shit, you're making a decision to eat shit. Don't act like anyone else is fucking feeding you. You're not a baby. So when someone's giving you food and you're eating it and you're eating shit, you're making that decision to eat shit. So you have to suffer the consequences, which is why the whole obesity epidemic is annoying in terms of who complains about it, in terms of who has problems with being called fat or obese, and who has problems dealing with reality, because they walked down that path and they created their own situation and they're not happy with it, but they don't want to be called out on it. So that's a lot of entitlement. That's a lot of personal responsibility and people not wanting to admit that they are at fault. No one wants to take the blame. No one wants to take the blame for their own health. But I encourage you to take the blame. Take the blame. It's the same thing as responsibility. You're taking responsibility, so you are the only one to blame. You are responsible. You are the one to blame. And it's as simple as that. It's really as simple as that. You are in control of A, B, and C. So you're going to take, you're the one to blame, or you're the one responsible for the outcomes of doing those things. Now, that being said, because you are responsible, you are the one that has the control. Now, why put yourself at risk? Why put yourself at risk with nutrition and or training habits that are going to potentially get you hurt from overtraining and under-recovering when you can mitigate that risk? And that's why deloading weeks, that's why pulling back is important. But a lot of people think about deloading before they ever really load. And that's what I've been thinking about a lot lately, are people that, it's the same thing with nutrition, but we don't talk about it in the same aspect of training as we do with nutrition. So think about cheat meals. A lot of people schedule or plan cheat meals in their life when they're cheating all the time. They're not really doing things properly to begin with. They're not really being healthy. They're cheating before they feel like they deserve a cheat meal. Oh, I'm going to the gym. Oh, I started exercising. And my Saturdays are for my cheat meals, or Saturday is my cheat day. It's like, you're always cheating. You haven't earned it yet. You don't deserve a cheat meal. You're not a fucking dog. You don't deserve treats. Is that going to help you towards your goal? Is that going to affect your health long term? And a lot of situations, yes, of course it is. If you're eating shit once a week, you're exposing your body to shit once a week. That's 4 times a month. That's 50 times a year. It might not seem a lot, but over 10 years, that's 500, 1,000 times of eating chemical garbage. It may or may not have an impact. Some people it might. Some people get lung cancer without smoking. Some people smoke their entire lives and never get lung cancer. So the severity of the impact is something that we have to discuss. Now, what I can say with fairly high confidence, because it's common sense, if you don't expose yourself to those things, you're less likely to have problems because you are not exposing yourself to that risk. The same thing like smoking. If you don't smoke, you have a far lower chance of getting lung cancer than if you do smoke. Regardless if some people get lung cancer without smoking, if you're smoking, you are exacerbating your risk for sure. So the same thing with eating junk food. Are you going to get diabetes from eating junk food one time? No, I don't think that's ever happened. Diabetes is not an acute disease. It's not like getting the flu. But you can see what I mean by the more often you eat that shit, the more likely you are to achieve that end result, for better or for worse. So your control and your awareness of why you're scheduling things in a certain way says a lot about your mindset and says a lot about your personal responsibility and what you're willing to take ownership of. So if you're cheating once a week and you're already pretty much cheating all the time, it's like, why do you schedule a cheat meal? Why is a cheat meal something you need? Same thing with training. Maybe you need a deload week, but maybe you don't. You don't need a deload week if you're barely loading yourself, So you want to make sure that you're recovering properly. I don't like talking about overtraining as much as I like talking about under-recovering, because most people don't do mobility, most people don't practice yoga, most people aren't taking care of themselves. And it's as simple as that. Most people don't take care of their health. Most people don't invest in their health and training properly. You have control of your food, you have control over your training. So you can take a day off. You can take a week off. But I don't think you should be taking a week off and sitting on your ass. Some people need to deload, doing less volume, doing less intensity, and downsizing their overload for a week or two in order to recover more and make sure that you're getting full healing psychologically and physically. And then you have people that are taking time off when they've never really geared up to begin with. A lot of people barely start and they're already taking days off, or they only work out Monday through Friday and they take Saturday and Sunday off because they just take Saturday and Sunday off. They're not taking Saturday and Sunday off because they really need to. They're taking it off because they think that's something that people should do. A lot of people think that they need a rest day when they might not, when they don't need a rest day. You don't need a rest day. You need to recover. So active recovery. You don't need to take a day off. A lot of people think they need to take a day off just because they hear about it. Oh, rest day. Today's a rest day. Well, what the fuck is a rest day? What should a rest day be? Well, a rest day is a day in which you are supposed to recover. Now, just sitting on your ass, in my experience, doesn't help you much. Once in a while, that might be what's on the menu. That might be the best option to be serious about it, because some days, for me, because I've been training for years intensely, and I know my body very well, I know when I need psychologically or physically a day off. Maybe I'll do some foam rolling or a little stretching. I'm usually always moving a lot, but a day where I'm like, I'm not doing yoga or I'm not doing strength training. But those are far and few between. You should be doing something every day. When you're more advanced, you can play with those little nuances. You'll know when you can push it more. You'll know when you have to turn it up more. You'll know when you can really take time off. But a lot of people barely start, and they're already taking days off. A lot of people barely start. They're not working out hard enough to get results in the first place. And then when you combine that with taking time off, they wonder why they don't get results, because they're never really gearing up to begin with. You see my point? Taking days off is like cheat days. You don't need a cheat day. You don't need a rest day, in the sense that you don't need a complete rest day where you're not doing anything. It's good to have a recovery day, which is fine. Do yoga, do foam rolling, do meditation, stay on your flow. But to sit on your ass and do absolutely nothing is generally not recommended, because a lot of people fall off their entire routine. Taking 2 days off a week, if you think about it, it's like what? 2 days off is what, 14% of your week? No, it's got to be more. I think it's 28%, 2 out of 7. I've done the math before. I think 1 day is 14% and 2 days is 28%. So if you're working out 5 days a week, you're 30% of your time, 30% of your life, you're not training. 30% of your week, you're not doing it. That's a huge percentage. So do you think you're going to get maximal results by only putting in work 70% of the time? I don't think so. Now, it doesn't mean you have to lift weights every day. It just means you need to be doing stuff and investing every single day, whether it's yoga for active recovery, or it's weight training, or it's Pilates, or whatever the fuck your schedule is, whatever you're doing for your fitness. Everyone's different. So a program is different. But think about your recovery and your rest days in the same sense that you think about your nutrition. Are you taking a rest day, or are you taking a cheat day because it's what you need? Really? Be honest. Is that going to help you, or is that just some kind of justification for you to do jack shit and for you to slack off and justify and feel guilt-free about eating a whole pizza pie? Well, you shouldn't be stressing your nutrition. You should be relaxed. You shouldn't have to. You'll see all that shit on Instagram, that diet culture and all this stuff, like to feel guilty for eating food. It's not about feeling guilty. It's about that food doesn't exist. All right? I'm telling you, that food doesn't fucking exist. That's a creation. All the food that you see that you think, oh, well, you shouldn't be stressed out about food. Just because human beings can create something doesn't mean you should put it in your fucking body. And a lot of people just feel that way because it's in existence, artificially created by humans, that it's something that can be eaten or should be eaten. I think food's great. I think food that grows on fucking trees, that you can cook, like it's a normal food, not this weird over-processed, over-broken down and reformulated, reconstituted, preserved shit. And I don't have to prove the point. It's already proven. I don't have to be like, well, here's the evidence. Here's the latest studies. You want to study? You want to study? Look at the population. Go around. Everyone's fucking fat. Everyone's fat. There's your study. Because everyone eats shit. And I said yesterday in the podcast, do the opposite of what people do. If you want better results, don't do what everyone does. Don't do what the person next to you does, because the person next to you is not going to be in good shape. The person next to you is not really putting in quality effort. The person next to you is not going to make those healthy choices for you. The person next to you is looking for an excuse too. And that's why your friends and your people around you, they're happy when you make an excuse because they want to make an excuse. You making an excuse and two people making excuses together and going out and binge eating and eating shit, that's great because both people don't have to feel responsible. Both people feel justified because the other person, they can deflect their own personal responsibility to the person next to them. So that's what families do. That's what societies do. That's what schools do. That's what all these people do or these groups of people do for nutrition. And as a society, as an entire country, we're doing that. We're passing off responsibility to the government. And, I don't have a choice, or I don't have enough money, and organic is too expensive. And this, look, it's not expensive to eat healthy. You might not be able to buy $8 containers of organic raspberries, but you can eat super fucking healthy for not too much more, if any, because you're mitigating healthcare costs and all these other things that are associated with shit food. You're going to feel better. You're going to exercise more because you feel better and have more energy, all those things. So I guess the summary and the overall concept of today's episode is justification. What are you justifying? What are you making excuses for? What are you pretending is okay when it's really not? And it's so common. It's so common to justify. Everyone wants to justify. Everyone wants to feel like what they're doing is okay. And everyone wants to feel like they can get away with everything. And you can. You can get away with everything, anything and everything, until you can't get away with anything. Really. All of a sudden it's going to stop. Eventually, you can't just keep on doing whatever the fuck you want forever. Eventually, things break. Once you have diabetes, you broke your shit. Your shit's fucking broken. The damage is done. That's the end result of not taking care of yourself. Facts on fucking facts on fucking facts. So don't justify things to yourself. And it's not easy. It's not easy because you're always going to, it's like human nature almost, to justify things, to rationalize. Rationalization helps us get through the tough times. But we spread this kind of virus way, this sick way of thinking into rationalizing our lack of action, to rationalizing cheat meals, to rationalizing not exercising, to rationalize. And then it spreads. And when it's used properly, it can help us get through tough times. But if it's used improperly, it leads to simple excuses that just harm us long term. So I encourage you to become more introspective. A lot of these questions or a lot of these things and topics I'm bringing up, if they sound woo-woo or like, okay, he's always talking about the psychological game, let me tell you, the psychology game is the only game in town. The mental game is the only game. That's the physical game. The physical is the fucking easy part. Physical is easy. Pushing through training, that's easy. And pushing through and training hard, that's psychological too. Your body can handle so much more than you think you can. Your brain's going to tell you to shut off, but if you have control of your mind, you can push yourself harder. And that's what gets people results, is that pushing through. So the more introspective and the more you can kind of, I guess, audit and call yourself out on your own bullshit, the better off you'll be, because you won't have to succumb to these types of social pressures. You'll know, you'll be able to see these things a mile away. You'll be able to decipher and translate what people say. You'll be able to understand when people give you shit more, you'll let it affect you less. And what people think, especially about your, what people think, especially about your training, especially about your nutrition, God, holy fucking shit, who cares what people think? I think that's the next phase of where everyone's going to go. It's going to be super popular and super trendy to not give a fuck what other people think. And a lot of people do. A lot of people care what other people think. Most people do. And the problem with family and friends and people that are close is that we care about those people's feelings a lot more than others, than strangers. And you shouldn't care about those people's feelings either, especially if you're doing you, what your parents or husband, spouse. I know that's a tough one, but you can't give a fuck what those people think either, especially if you're doing something that's authentic to you. And that can rip apart a marriage, that can separate people from friendships, and then a lot of you hold on to friendships longer than you should. You hold on to people in your life that shouldn't be in your life to begin with. So a lot of these things are solved by meditating, a lot of these things are solved by thinking, and even when I'm not technically meditating, I'm thinking, I'm analyzing, I'm assessing, and how you think and how you process things in your brain is so fucking important. It's so easy to fall into a trap and fall into a routine that everyone else does and how everyone else thinks. So I encourage you, after listening to this episode, get involved with some meditation, some guided meditation. Those of you that are part of Swolenormous X, you have a bunch of new brain gains coming. Record a bunch of those on my trip. So there'll be a bunch of them being uploaded over the next couple of weeks. So just start with a guided meditation. Start with something. Just start thinking more about how you think and where these thoughts are coming from. And like I mentioned, a guided meditation is very, very beneficial, such as the ones inside Swolenormous X with brain gains. It's just very, very important to recognize where your thoughts are coming from and allowing them to fucking go on their merry way. Because a lot of these thoughts will pop up regardless, and people give them way too much attention when they really are just a fleeting thought or something that pops up. Like, you have so many synapses in your fucking brain, things are going to pop up all the time. You just can't, we dwell way too much on bullshit that doesn't deserve the time of day. So keep that in mind. Don't overthink shit, and make sure to look a little bit more within and get more introspective, get a little bit more get some more self-analysis in your day. And it takes a fucking hard stomach. It takes some fortitude, because you are calling yourself out on your own bullshit. It's you being aware that not everything is as you first anticipate. You're not always right. You don't always know yourself like you think you do. And if you've never really meditated, if you've never really practiced yoga and gone with your breath and kind of had those Zen-like moments, a lot of people can't quiet their mind. And if you can't quiet your mind, you're losing. You're missing out on what will help you get the most progress. And a lot of people think it's physical. A lot of people think it's, hey, should I eat chicken or should I eat beef? What do you think about fish? When it has nothing to do with either. It has to do with how you're processing your thoughts and what's keeping you consistent, what will get you more consistent, what will help you cut out that dead weight and that bullshit around you, because a lot of you don't have strong social support systems, and that could be a real downside for those of you that, it's a poison and it's infectious. So think about that after this episode, process that, absorb that, think about how that can and will affect every aspect of your life. Start being more observant and aware of that situation. And I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you so much for joining me for episode 1292 of the Most Muscular Swolecast, Beardcast, Broadcast, Gaincast, Mancast, Pimpcast, Sleazecast, and Slaycast in the realm. Because when I flex, you flex, we all flex our biceps. Thanks again for joining me. I'll see you tomorrow for 1293. Peace, McGee's, Deuce Magoose, your boy, Papa Swolio. Out.